High school math is different than middle school math. In high school, homework is worth a very small percentage of your grade, although it's critical for success. You should not expect test retakes or corrections, so you need to be prepared to show content mastery on the scheduled test date. Set yourself up for an attainable challenge, and don't be afraid to ask your teachers for help or clarification during class or tutorial. All of our P-level math classes offered to freshmen are part of a pathway to college eligibility. Students need to complete at least Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2 to be UC eligible. Even if you take Algebra A, Algebra B, Geometry, and then Algebra 2, you're still eligible to apply to college. It's more important to choose a math class that is appropriate to your skill set as it exists now so that you can build a strong foundation than it is to rush into a challenging math class that you aren't ready for. The amount of homework can vary depending on the level of a class or even within a class depending on the day, so it's hard to say how much homework to anticipate, but you should expect homework every day. Okay, if you're currently in Math 8cc, Algebra Readiness, or a similar course at a different school, you have two choices for next year. You can take the 1-year Algebra 1 course or the 2-year Algebra 1 course, which is called Algebra A and Algebra B. In the end, you'll learn the same content from both courses, but the 2-year course allows students more time to learn the concepts before moving on. And it also allows more time to review, to fill in any gaps that the students may come to us with. We recommend the 2-year course if you are receiving a C or below this year in your 8th grade math class. If you're currently in Algebra 1, we want to make sure you have a strong grasp of the content before you move on to geometry. In looking at data, we're finding that students who earned a B or lower in middle school Algebra 1 and did not do any summer work to address the gaps are really struggling when they get to Algebra 2 Accelerated. If you're currently in geometry, please do an honest reflection of your algebra skills. The pathway for you is to take Algebra 2 Accelerated next year, but if you earned a B or lower in any of the semesters of Algebra 1 or geometry, past trends indicate your likelihood of success in that course will be much greater if you do some summer work to address those gaps before you start here next year. This is the most asked question by incoming families. Technically, you are allowed to take a course over the summer, but it is highly discouraged. I've been looking at a lot of data from the last 3 years to help advise students. Of the students, for one example, who chose to accelerate by taking geometry over the summer, only 13% of those students received an A in the first semester of Algebra 2 Accelerated. 62% received a C, D, or F in Algebra 2 Accelerated, which means they are not recommended for Trig Pre-Calc Honors the following year, and 22% moved to Algebra 2 before second semester began. Please don't feel like you need to accelerate over the summer by taking a math class. You will be better off in the long run by taking a year-long math class to build a strong foundation that your future classes can rely on. The pathway from Trig Pre-Calc Honors to AP Calculus BC is now open if you meet the requirements. That means if you are taking geometry at Los Gatos High School next year, you can still make it to Calculus BC your senior year if you meet the requirements that show that you're ready for it. So there's really no rush.